Hello again, everybody. I'm Don Poyer, and welcome to Evansville, Indiana, for Budweiser's Thunder on the Ohio 6. Much like Syracuse, New York, 2 weeks ago, we already have a major development taking place before the race day begins. During testing this morning, the Miss Tosti driven by Steve Reynolds was out in turn 4 when it suddenly lost the blade on his propeller, ripping away from the strut, that being the propeller shaft, and severely damaging the bottom of the boat. It caught fire momentarily. Steve Reynolds had to jump out of the boat into the water. He did burn his left hand somewhat. He was immediately brought in an ambulance boat and taken to a nearby ambulance to be attended to. We are told that his hand will be all right. It was bandaged, and he went down immediately to take a look at the damage on his boat. Jim Hendrick is down there now. Let's see if we can get a comment.
Okay, Don, Steve Reynolds is with us now. Steve, right on a turn, what happened?
Well, we lost one full blade of the three-bladed prop, Jim, and you know that vibration transmits all the way up to the boat, and it just raised havoc as it moves all the way up the shaft.
You dove out of the boat. Why'd you do that?
The reason I dove out is I wanted immediate attention. The boat, to me, was in danger of sinking. There was a little fire on it. We extinguished the fire, hooked the safety wires or the ropes up to the boat so they could tow it back to the beach, and then I just wanted to get out of the way.
Okay, now it's a repair job before the next race and take care of that burned hand.
Yeah, I got a slight burn, and we've got about a week and a half of repair work.
You're not the only one who has a problem. I understand now the Atlas Van Lines has had a problem, and Don Poyer's down there. Don?
Jim, you're right. There was a problem this morning. Now, you were out testing and lost a small part of the blade on your prop?
Actually, we lost two small parts. Both tips, we were running a two-blade propeller, and both tips came off the propeller. So basically the same thing that happened to Tosti. We were just a little more fortunate as that happened on both blades, which kept it somewhat unilateral.
All right, now in a positive sense, you set a national record with your 140.818 qualifying speed with a boat right out of the wrapper. That's got to be encouraging.
It's encouraging, but that's all it is. You know, we have never raced this boat, and going into a boat race with a untested, you know, as far as a race boat, we have to take it easy. And I'd say the smart money's got to be on the Budweiser or the Squire, and we just hope we can have a good, respectable day.
Okay. Humbly put by Chip Hanauer. Let's go now to Jim and Heat 1A's rundown.
Boy, Don, you talk about action. We've got it all ready before the race even starts. Now let's check the lineups for Heat 1A. Checking the lineup for Heat 1A in competition will be the Raven Tire. Jerry Hopp checked in at 105.5, the minimum qualifying speed. From Madison, Indiana, Chet's Music, driven by Todd Yawling, 111.6, his qualifying time. From the Seattle area, it will be George Johnson driving the Executone Telephone, qualifying speed 119.7. The Renault will be driven by Miller Irwin from Coral Gables, Florida. Qualified his boat the fastest this year, 123.8. And the boat to beat, I believe, in this heat, the Squire Shop, driven by Mickey Riemann from Palm Desert, California. His qualifying speed, 131 even. And that's the lineups for Heat 1A here at Evansville, Indiana today. To pick a favorite, I'd have to give it to Squire Shop, as I said, with Mickey Riemann, because of past performance. But then again, the Executone Telephone, the Miss Renault, they've been coming on strong. Chet's Music here in Syracuse ran the fastest stock Allison ever ran. So really, it's a toss-up when it comes to unlimited hydroplane racing. Now let's go up the Don and check the action for Heat 1B.
Jim, the fan plan is no longer in existence, but you wouldn't know it by the draw for Heat 1B. It's quite a rundown. Let's take a look. Here are the boats. First of all, Risley's Audio Video, a local sponsor. The U-40 is the boat, Scott Pierce the driver, qualifying at 114.7 miles per hour. The Budweiser with Jim Kropfeld, driving out of Cincinnati, 117.9 miles per hour. After those repairs, they're back. American Speedy Printing, Ron Snyder the driver, qualifying at 120.7 miles per hour. And the new Atlas Van Lines, the turbine-powered hull, will make its debut here in Evansville, Indiana. It qualified at a national record 140.818 miles per hour with Chip Hanauer at the wheel. And as we told you earlier, the Tosti suffered damage during testing today. They won't be racing. They won't be in 1B. We thought it would be a three-boat race between the Tosti, the Budweiser, and the new Atlas Van Lines. But instead, more like a two-boat race with probably Ron Snyder and the American Speedy Printing in the hunt, waiting for somebody to break and maybe pick up some more points. That's how it looks for 1A and 1B here in Evansville, Indiana. So stay with us. Hydroplane racing coming up. For 1A, the Squire Shop, Renault, Executone Telephones, Chet's Music, and Raven Tires. Here we go with Heat 1A. And as they race now for the starting line, it's the Squire Shop on the inside. In lane 2 is the Miss Renault and Miller Irvin. Lane 3, Chet's Music with Todd Yarling in lane 4. It's going to be the Executone Telephones with George Johnson. Here they come down towards the west turn here in Heat 1A in Evansville, Indiana. Mickey Reman in that familiar spot in lane number 1. He loves to take the shortest route around the course, as he puts it, here on this 2-mile course. Second place, Miss Renault, you see going out of the screen. Good race right there for third and fourth as George Johnson goes way wide in the Executone telephones. Back to the leader, and that's the Squire Shop, the winner of the race up in Syracuse, New York, just 2 weeks ago. Mickey Reman qualifying at 131 miles per hour on this 2-mile course. Milner Irvin, second place to Miss Renault. Third place, George Johnson, Executone telephones. And fourth place, Todd Yarling in the Chet's Music Shop. And here comes the Squire Shop into the east turn again. Mickey Reman, a boat that won in New York, and they've done some work on the rudder. They've had a little problem there, but they've worked it out pretty well here in Evansville, Indiana. He's going down the main straightaway with a slight dog leg to the left. It's not a perfectly straight straightaway coming down this area. Second place, the Renault. Average speed now 115 miles per hour for the Squire Shop. Third place, Executone telephones. Mickey Reman in the lead and in control as he comes down to the west turn here on the Ohio River. We'll have 2 races on the Ohio. Next week we go on up to Madison, Indiana. Mickey Reman in the Squire Shop. Executone telephones in third place. And he's having a pretty good race with that man on the inside. You saw his rooster tail, that being Chet's Music. Here's Raven Tire, Jerry Hopp, just trying to keep that boat running and pick up some points in his first race of 1984. Chet's Music on the right. In fourth place on the left is Executone telephones and George Johnson. And that's the first place boat, Mickey Reman in the Squire Shop. 3-year-old boat, but is doing very, very well here now for the Squire Shop and owner Bob Stile. Jim Harvey, the crew chief. Milner Irvin and the Miss Renault coming down in second place here in Evansville, Indiana. The Thunder on the Ohio 6, but look at the race now for third and fourth place. Executone in that bright blue and white, dark blue boat. George Johnson, a driver. Raven Tires and Jerry Hopp staying alive, keeping in the hunt. First race for that boat here in 1984. Back to Mickey Reman in full control. That boat running very, very well now. The Miss Renault, they've gone back to the basics for that boat, trying to get it toned down, riding a little better on choppy water. There's your race for third and fourth place. Going down the back chute, it's rather narrow there, but the acceleration has to go to the Executone telephones. However, the position as they go in now to the east turn has to go to Todd Yarling and Chet's Music Shop. Look at this race as they come out of that west turn now and they go down the main straightaway. Executone on the outside. George Johnson driving on the inside. Todd Yarling, who gained a lot of respect when they were racing in New York just a couple of weeks ago. Executone telephones on the outside. Mickey Reman extending his lead now as he goes down the back chute ahead of that man, Milner Irvin, and the Miss Renault. But a great battle for third and fourth place. And again, just like New York, these two, boy, they're getting to know each other quite well. They're going deck to deck again. Raven Tire, Jerry Hopp, keeping things rolling, keeping that Allison engine running very well to get some points here. And, of course, it looks like the leader, the Squire Shop with Mickey Reman, could lap Jerry Hopp here on this particular lap. Average speed now for the Squire Shop, 115.6. Very consistent speeds for Mickey Reman, 115, around 116. Back to that great lead, and again, the position goes to Todd Yarling. He turns very well. At first, they thought, well, maybe he had a lot to learn about turning, but he's doing a great job here. He did well in New York as well, handling that boat. Nice little piece of driving here. Look as he swings out wide and forces George Johnson to go wide as well here on this dog leg down the main chute. That's the battle for third and fourth place. Executone telephone and Chet's Music Shop. There's the second place boat, Milner Irvin and the Miss Renault, handling a lot better now. They decided to go back to the beginning where they were in Miami when it ran well prior to that race down in Florida. Executone telephone. George Johnson saying this year he's having a lot of fun because he's not only trying to keep the boat running in the races, but having a little fun racing, and he's doing that right now. Look at that picture, deck to deck between Chet's Music Shop and George Johnson. This could be almost a video replay of the race in New York when they went hand in hand for 5 straight laps before George Johnson finally eking out a victory and picking up the win ahead of Chet's Music. Again, here they are. Chet's Music on the inside, George Johnson on the outside, that Lucero designed boat on the outside. John Stardicker built that brand new boat for Chet's Music on the inside, so you have 2 brand new boats racing here in Evansville, Indiana. Oh, it appears now that George Johnson has widened his lead over that boat, Chet's Music, in 4th place. And here comes your winner of Heat 1A, the Squire Shop with Mickey Reman, picking up another 400 points. And second place goes to Milner Irvin, the Miss Renault. And And here's how the points were distributed. Squire Shop with 400. Renault second place. Executone Telephones third. Chet's Music coming in fourth. And Raven Tires in fifth place. Let's go down to Jim Hendrick and the winner.
Now, right now, they've just come in, and they're talking over between the chief of the crew, of course, Jim Harvey, and driver, of course, Mickey Riemann.
Hi, Jim.
Hey, how was it out there?
Oh, it's a little lumpy out there, but it's usually lumpy with the big 3,000-pound boats. I mean, 3-ton boats. It gets a little lumpy.
Jim, you must have been happy to see him nail that start the way he did.
Well, he's been doing a pretty good job of that. We had a game plan to follow in this heat, and it worked according to schedule.
Okay, Don, happy winners, of course, of Heat 1A.
And Jim, we have a crowd of better than 85,000 on hand today. More racing for them and for you in just a minute. Hendrick here in Evansville, Indiana. It looks like Jim has jumped on one of the boats. Jim?
Don, you may not recognize him, but this is Ron Snyder. Ron, I guess you'd have to be considered an underdog with the competition.
Well, we've been there before, Jim. We'll just go out and do our best.
Okay, now you've got the turbine, you got the Budweiser. What are your plans for this heat? To sit in third slot?
Well, you know, it's up to Chip and Jim what slot they want out there. Whatever they pick, I'll take what's left over and give her everything she's got.
Going to play it safe here, Don, in the first heat, trying to get some points for the final. Back up to you.
All right, James, get out of there. You're going to get wet. Here's the rundown for 1B. Atlas Van Lines, American Speedy Printing, the Budweiser at 117.9, and Risley's Express at 114 miles per hour. Here are the men in the trenches. A close-up look at them. Scott Pierce out of Seattle, Washington, and Risley's Express. Jim Kropfeld and the Budweiser, a miracle that they're here after the damage suffered in New York. Also Ron Snyder of American Speedy Printing, always in the hunt. A great driver, Ron Snyder out of Ohio. And Chip Hanauer with a new boat, the turbine-powered Atlas Van Lines, qualifying at 140. Oh, wait a minute. Chip Hanauer isn't in the cockpit of the Atlas Van Lines. Oh, they're going to lift the boat out of the water. Evidently, they couldn't fire up that turbine engine. Oh, what a disappointment. Setting a national record in qualifying, and now he can't race in this 1B as it begins with the Budweiser in lane 1, American Speedy Printing in lane 2, and Risley's on the outside. There you see on the right of the screen, just coming into the picture is the Budweiser with Jim Kropfeld at the wheel. In the middle of your screen, American Speedy Printing and Ron Snyder. Coming around on the outside in third place is Risley's Express. This could shape into one of those great races between the Bud and the American Speedy Printing. They did it last week, 2 weeks ago, rather, back in New York. And look at this, American Speedy Printing and Snyder on the outside, going against Kropfeld on the inside and the Miss Budweiser. They go down that narrow back chute here on the Ohio River in Evansville, Indiana. American Speedy Printing, Snyder out of Piqua, Ohio, holding on to first place as he comes around in lane 2 on the east turn. The Budweiser on the inside with great position is Jim Kropfeld out of Cincinnati, Ohio. A couple of natives out of the state of Ohio having a lot of fun here in Heat 1B, about to complete lap number 1 here in Evansville, Indiana. American Speedy Printing, first place after lap number 1. There's the third place boat, the Risley's Express with Scott Pierce. As they head now down towards the west turn, you see some of the 85,000 people here in Evansville watching this race, the 6th annual Thunder on the Ohio. American Speedy Printing. This boat, the last really competitive boat that's still in the conventional design with the driver behind the boat. He's still got somewhat of a lead over the Budweiser. Remember now, the Budweiser, they've had to really try to dial it in again after that severe damage up in Syracuse, New York, where they lost the blade on propeller, and they had to change that. They had to change the design underneath. They had to change the rudder, the prop shaft, many, many changes, and they've still got to get the boat dialed in. Now a healthy lead for American Speedy Printing as Ron Snyder puts his foot to the floor. Scott Pierce here in third place on the Risley's Express. Ron Snyder, an acoustical contractor by trade. You see the Budweiser there coming up almost deck to deck now with American Speedy Printing. Jim Kropfeld in his third year with the Budweiser crew and working for Bernie Little. Here they come after lap number 2. Still American Speedy Printing in first place. Third place back to Scott Pierce. Risley's Express. Speed 108 miles per hour for the American Speedy, 109 for the Budweiser. So you can see that he's coming up. Back to that west turn. Snyder coming around the outside, Rookie of the Year back in 1976 while driving the Miss Madison and the Miss Budweiser. Jim Kropfeld, Rookie of the Year, a couple of years ago for Bernie Little in the Miss Budweiser. You've got two of the finest drivers in the business right here. You can't help but wonder what it would be like if the Atlas Van Lines would have fired up for this Heat 1B in Evansville. We'll try to get a report on the Atlas van lines after Heat 1B. But again, it's the Budweiser. Kropfeld and Snyder of the American Speedy Printing having a good old time here on the Ohio River as they come around the east turn and come down the main chute for lap number 3. Allison Turbos, that's the engine for American Speedy Printing. The Griffin engine for the Budweisers. They come down that dogleg main straightaway. Average speed, 108 miles per hour for American Speedy, 109 for the Budweiser. So again, Kropfeld is inching ever so closely. Third place to Scott Pierce and Risley's Express. Fred Leland-owned boat, all aluminum boat. And here's your battle for first and second place into the west turn here on the Ohio River. Jim Kropfeld, who owns a muffler company in the town of Cincinnati, Ohio. And you've got on the outside a man who is an acoustical contractor on the outside, making a lot of noise here on this Sunday afternoon in Evansville. The Budweiser, as you've seen, has moved slightly ahead of American Speedy Printing. Third place, Scott Pierce trying to move up. Oh, look at the skid fin digging for the Budweiser as it comes around now, that east turn, and coming down towards the main straightaway. Snyder holding his own, however, staying on the outside, keeping the RPMs up, trying to stay close to this man, Jim Kropfeld, one of the finest in the business. There's no denying it. This Budweiser boat will be retired at the end of this year, and right now it looks like he's in second place with Snyder holding on to a slim first place lead. Again back into the turn, and coming out of the east turn is Scott Pierce and the Risley's Express. The U40, Scott Pierce. Again, the Budweiser. American Speedy Printing on the outside. Snyder, an official. When he is not racing, he has done a lot of officiating for the Unlimiteds. Right now, he's got his hands full with a very powerful boat. And they're coming up now here on the last lap of the afternoon in Heat 1B. The Budweiser looks like it's going to be a drag race. Let's face it, they're both holding position now as they go into the east turn. The Budweiser with the position, however. Let's see now if Snyder can handle that baby and get it around and keep up the speed and be able to make it a drag race as they go past the exit buoy and down the main straightaway. Here it comes, ladies and gentlemen. It is nothing but a quarter-mile final. Coming down the straightaway, the Budweiser gets the win. American Speedy Printing second, Scott Pierce third. When you look at the numbers, here's how they came out. Budweiser with 400 points. American Speedy Printing coming in second. Risley's Express third, and Atlas Van Lines did not start. If you were to draw a line, an imaginary line across the finish, there's your margin of victory for the Budweiser. Looks like more than a boat length, but by a clock, it's only 0.6 of a second. Let's go down with Jim Hendrick and the winning camp of Budweiser.
Don, right now we're down on the end of the dock. Here's a happy owner and a happy driver. Let's talk to driver first. Jim, that's close.
Well, it was a good race. You know, the Atlas wasn't there, and Ron and I, we ran to the best of our abilities, and we kind of took it easy. The water was a little rough.
Think you nervous, Bernie?
Oh, yeah, I'm walking the dock pretty good, saying, get on it, man. He must have heard me, though, there when he come around the corner, huh?
Long time still to go, and these guys are happy they won Heat 1B. Back to you, Don.
Atlas Van Lines just got word they're going to be in Heat 2A. They've got to hurry if they're going to change the engine. Let's get a word from Chip Hanauer.
Chip, what's the problem?
We've got, this engine doesn't fire. We're going to have to make an engine change. We got about 10 minutes.
So while concern fills the minds of those in the Atlas camp, it's a beautiful afternoon for Mickey Riemann and